Two African leaders have made it to the top 3 on the list of the most corrupt leaders of 2024. The two are Kenyan President William Ruto and Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. The world leaders were ranked by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, or the OCCRP. Ruto and Tinubu were the finalists for the OCCRP's Person of the Year award. The top ranked, that is the most corrupt leaders title, was given to former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Kenya's William Ruto was placed second, and Nigeria's Bola Tinubu was secured the third spot. Though Bashar al-Assad was ranked number 1, he did not receive the most number of votes. It was the Kenyan president. An unprecedented number of people, more than 40,000, wrote in to nominate William Ruto for Person of the Year in organized crime and corruption.
I can confirm here today that if elections were called today, myself and those people I talk to, by the way, there are some out there who are still mad at me for standing with Ruto in the last election.
What if I'm also mad at you?
If so many people have been mad at me, including Mheshimiwa.
You just apologize and
I've apologized enough times. But this time, if Ruto were to run for election today, he will not get my vote. That one I can assure you.
Okay, you've talked about something. You mentioned something concerning the issue of election. And that one now takes me to Honorable Stephen Oko to answer this question. You are saying that suppose the elections were done today. Honorable Steve, let me ask you this, that you know very well that we cannot do elections right now.
Yes.
Because we don't have IEBC. Now, you are the president. And a country is running without an IEBC. You are not even bothered about that. And the elections are coming. Remember, there are some constituencies that have got no members of parliament. Like, for instance, the people of Ugunja, which was being led by Honorable Pio and I. Yeah. The office of the MP is vacant. Now, we don't know the person that is trying to defend, or maybe that is suppose the parliament resume, because they are still on recess. When they go back to parliament, we will talk about the Ugunja issues. Now, the elections of these places are supposed to happen in February. Now, we don't have IEBC. How is it going to happen? Or why is it the president is not even bothered? Or is it one of the ways that is planning maybe to steal the elections, as people say?
Oh, that is part of the rigging. In election, we are taught 70% is planning, 20% is campaign, and 10% is rigging. Now, Ruto is already planning to rig elections. One, the IBC, as we talk about, we have none of the commissioners because he fired the 4, including the vice chair. Now, we are about 2 years to the election. The IBC should be there at least 3 years so that they formalize themselves with what is happening, the boundaries, review, and so on. If we were to, and as per now, we cannot have IBC because we have to wait until June for the budget. So Ruto is creating a chaos. There was a bill in parliament which said they could extend this time to 7 years.
7 years.
That was testing the waters. And if you don't achieve it through this, mean you achieve it through plan B. As we speak now, assuming within this year, by the end of this year, we get IBC, they will not be able to sit pretty, the 7 of them, and be ready for the by-elections, for the boundaries review, and to conduct a presidential and general election. They will say, okay, we need time. They will say, we need time. Ruto's term ends in August 2027. The Constitution did not envisage an area where we don't have IBC commissioners, or when the IBC commissioners are not ready. So what happens in such a scenario? We'll go to the Supreme Court. They're already pushing for the CJ to step aside. Who are pushing?
The Kenya Kwanza.
The pro-Ruto. Yeah, Harvey was a UDA candidate, and the other guy. So they already doing rigging. By the time we push the CJ, we go to the Supreme Court to investigate now what happens when his term has already ended. And then his term exceeds by a year or 6 months or 1 month. What happens? The Supreme Court might say he automatically assumed to have been elected and opposed because for another 5 years. Yes. These are the scenarios we are looking at. So Ruto is creating a situation for the continuation of Ruto regime. That's why he has we call them the foot soldiers or the backing dogs, trying to say 24 years, 7 years. Ruto is learning a script from Museveni and Kagame, not realizing that Museveni took power by the barrel of the gun, and Kagame the same. But Kenya, it was a social contract. We gave him tukamwapisha during the day. It was social contract. Now he is emulating those people because he wants to continue in power. Now, that is the scenario he's creating. And there's a high possibility that during 2027, with the absence of the IEBC, we are going to have a chaos. But this is what we are saying, and we have discussed this in other forums, Chinyamaji. If by 2027, the IEBC is not ready to conduct elections, because he has lost the credibility and legitimacy from the Kenyan people, he should vacate office. Either we have a caretaker government minus Kenya Kwanza or minus Ruto, or the power belongs to us. We take it by force, by all means necessary. Because this IEBC is a creation. Somebody will go to court again. Just the way somebody went to court, to the parliament, to fire the IEBC. The same thing, somebody, even if we were to select the panel, somebody will be sent to go to court. A proxy. And this is where Ruto is taking us. But let him remember that we are seeing what he's doing. And we are also, as scheming, we are also scheming. Yes.
Honorable Dan, assuming that now you are going to, as you are preparing yourself maybe to become the member of parliament of Webuye, you're supposed to, your papers are supposed to be vetted. You're supposed to be vetted. Like, you have to present your papers so that the IBC can know whether they're okay or not. To be allowed to vie or to start campaigning, to telling people that now you are ready. But the organization that is supposed to do that is not around. How do you feel?
Just like Mheshimiwa has said, we are in what I'd call a catch-22 situation. We can't move without the IEBC in terms of, because of the commissioners have that mandate given to them by the Constitution. I wish there was a clause that says in the absence of the commissioners, the Secretariat can do it. But the Secretariat can't. So we are looking at a situation where the country might fall into chaos just because of our carelessness on the part of the leadership of the president now. If I were in his position today, the first thing I'd have done was to make sure the IEBC is fully constituted in place. You asked a question about the representation of the people of Ugunja, for example. Those people and other wards and other constituencies, they have a right to be represented. And right now, as we speak, they are not represented. Our constitution doesn't give a position of maybe acting or assistant MP. Maybe if we have such a situation in the future, and this is what we should be looking at, maybe. Now, because we have such a situation, is it necessary to go back to the frame, to reframe the constitutional provisions about affecting these independent bodies? Like the IEBC, for example? Can we give the Secretariat more powers so that in case we have a situation like what we have now, their work doesn't stall? That is the question I'd want to ask. But as an interested party in the coming election, I want to believe we will not reach there without the IEBC. Because if we reach there without, then everybody is in trouble. Yeah.
Honorable Steve,
Yes.
you are one of the people that are walking all over the world. Like you traveled abroad, and according to me, let me just assume, because I've been within and I've been following what is happening in the world, in the country, all over. I've come to realize something, that our president have tarnished the name of our country. That is a fact. You can adhere to that. Now, I don't know the country that you were in last, but I just want you to tell us, at least, what is the feeling like? Suppose maybe, let's say for instance, it's even Tunisia, or maybe Morocco, or even United States of America, what the Japan, China. What is the heat? How are people taking Kenya? Because I know that Kenya has been taken as one of the leading countries in terms of economy. Was doing so good, and people were, in fact, it was like let me say it like people will come and do a lot of workshop here, go back to their countries, and it's like a refer. People refer to Kenya as one of the best economic places, but now the president have tarnished this. So what has been the hit outside there? What people say concerning Kenya, concerning William Ruto, concerning everything.
Let me talk more about Kenya. We say that the fish rose from the head. Since Ruto took over last year, I happened to travel to about 7 countries, some in the Lake regions. But we had a good image. We were the most optimistic country in the world some times back. Kenya is known as a people of resilience, people of hope, hardworking, multi-talented, gifted. Now with Ruto's presidency, it's all gone. It's all gone. And some of the countries want Ruto out as yesterday, because Kenya has been a shining example in many areas. And Kenya has been the lifeline, especially within the region, in terms of security, in terms of economy, and in terms of refuge. When they came to Kenya, they found at least a place they can feel at home. It's no longer the case. People have been abducted here from Nigeria, from Turkey, from neighbors here. That one was not happening. Was not happening. And to be very honest, they're saying, why don't you take the gun? Because that's what they do in their countries. When the president messes up, they take the gun. They say, Kenya is the first country that started the revolutionary politics when he took guns to fight the British Empire. And it changed their perception. So anybody in Africa who said we want independence from the British, they just negotiated and gave it because we showed the way. Now some are asking us, why don't you take the gun and get this man out? Why don't you just fight so that you restore your dignity? So let me say that the goodwill, the famousness of Kenya, this man has dented our image. That's why we want him out as yesterday. But because the constitutions talk about 2027, we have to live with him, but he has to go.
So, okay, talking about, well, in as much as maybe, let's say, for instance, those outside countries, those countries outside the world are trying to advise you when you go there that you should take the gun. Now, here is the question that I'm trying to ask myself. When they tell you that you should take the gun, who are you going to fight? Are you going to fight William Ruto himself, or because right now everybody is against William Ruto? William Ruto is just one person together with Rigathi Gachagua called them the Vibaraka. He only has the Vibaraka. Those are the members of parliament from the broad-based government and all that. And against us Kenyans, millions and millions of Kenya. And one thing I know is that if at all it was all about the gun, then maybe the president has got his group, his group military. But what if now it reaches a point that now the military is also against him? Who are we going to fight?
There's what we call my government, Bashar and his government. Yeah. So you are fighting the government and the head of the government.
And the head
Let
of-
me end it there.
Honorable Dan, what do you have to say? I see you smiling.
You know, I was listening to there is a clip on online. There are police officers. I think somebody took a video, and one of the police officers, I think she was a lady, she was asking, why do you, when you are given a chance to vote, why do you vote in these bad leaders? Then you bring us trouble, so we arrest you. You see now, even in the security circle, they also know there is a problem with leadership.
Yeah.
But because they have taken an oath, they know we have to protect this. Whichever devil is there, we have to protect it because we are for the constitution. That is the only reason why many of these uniformed guys are silent. But if we came to the reality on the ground, you know, as civilians, we can say anything. But I also have friends who are in the military, and we share a few things, and I know a bit of what what is in their mind. And I'd not want to suggest that we go that way, because those who have experienced war situations in their countries know how bad it can be. It is true. I saw another, I don't know who did the research, and our president was the second most corrupt leader in the world, only after the immediate former president of Syria, who was thrown out by the people.
2 African leaders have made it to the top 3 on the list of the most corrupt leaders of 2024. The 2 are Kenyan President William Ruto and Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. The world leaders were ranked by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, or the OCCRP. Ruto and Tinubu were the finalists for the OCCRP's Person of the Year award. The top ranked, that is the most corrupt leaders title, was given to former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Kenya's William Ruto was placed second, and Nigeria's Bola Tinubu was secured the 3rd spot. Though Bashar al-Assad was ranked number 1, he did not receive the most number of votes. It was the Kenyan president. An unprecedented number of people, more than 40,000, wrote in to nominate William Ruto for Person of the Year in Organized Crime and Corruption.
So, in essence,
and the first in Africa.
Now he's the first one in the world, because now the president of Syria, the number 2
is gone. The number 1 is
gone. So number 1 is
followed by Tinubu.
Our own,
the
man we elected and believed in, today is ranked as the worst.
In the world.
And you see, you know, your leader is a representation of who you are. Does it mean that we Kenyans are the worst people in the world?
I think it doesn't represent me, my values and virtues
and beliefs. That is the picture that he has given us.
That is the picture out there.
Yeah, you can't deny.
If he is representing me, for example, and I want to quickly mention the issue of the broad-based government as well. Raila has had very good credentials for a long time.
Yeah.
Until now, I think this last handshake is the one that is killing him, symbolically speaking. Why do I say so? When the Gen Zs invaded parliament, and I said that here last time, that was a clear vote of no confidence in the government.
Yeah, I remember.
That is the day when this government should have stepped aside, but they didn't. The Ruto thought it wise to bring on board Raila Odinga because he thinks Raila has
the savior,
has the masses on his side, which is not true, because even when you go to Nyanza now, his own backyard, Babu Owino is already beating him.
For your information, I'm his uncle. Okay.
Yeah. His uncle can confirm. His own uncle can confirm. Things are not as Ruto expected. You know, these politics and the game of elitism that they are playing, these people sometimes think we are very stupid. Just because we don't have the kind of money they have, They think they can play around with us and do whatever they want. One of these days, let me tell you, a day will come. And I've not even mentioned our Koto Secretary General, Francis Atwoli. Atwoli is riding on people's backs, making millions of money every day. And he has the audacity to say, just because Natembeya has spoken the truth, he goes to whisper to Ichungwa something, and Ichungwa says, he's the one who funded him. Now the youth in Trans Nzoia say they are contributing money.
They're going to refund the money
because they don't want him associated with their leader. And for us to move forward, we need leaders like Natembeya, like our presidential candidate here. Somebody who is willing to speak. He said something, and I agree with him. This death is not just the physical death we keep talking about. Of course, the physical death is painful. But it is true. Many of us died long ago. It is just a matter of confirmation and burial that is remaining. That is why you see people going to the streets, despite the fact that they are policemen armed with guns, but they are going to face them and tell them, here I am, shoot me if you want. Because we know, you know, one of the things, and I keep saying this, one of the things, the best things that Kibaki did, that Ruto has undone within 2 years, is giving us free education. And you see this enlightened group that was taken to school by Kibaki. You can see the wonders they are doing. What if we extended that free education to university level? And that is why Ruto decided to come up with this stupid bill of the funding model for university education. He himself was educated using the Higher Education Loans Board, the way it was constituted before. Now he wants to mess it up for those who are coming behind him. What do you think is the motivation for that? Another question maybe I need to ask before we move on to something else. We have had now 5 presidents, right? Kenyatta had a personal assistant. Do you remember his name? The Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Yes.
I can't exactly remember.
Was it not Koinange?
Yeah,
The likes of Koinange were in his kitchen cabinet. The likes of Njonjo were there. Very educated people. Moi, despite his questionable education, he had serious people in his kitchen cabinet. That is why he could work with people like the late Josephat Karanja. He had Mwai Kibaki, who is, to date, they say he is the brightest economist that was there. He had people like George Saitoti. Most of the people that surrounded, of course, apart from the likes of Mulu Mutisia and another one called...
But they were never full ministers.
But they were never full ministers.
They were part.
He could make them assistants and so on.
Of the Aringos.
Let's come to Uhuru. Uhuru had very bright people around him. Now look at our Ruto.
Our cast. Let's go.
When you look at those who are surrounding Ruto, the closest people are Oscar Sudi. The other day he was given a doctorate by a university without a charter.
So that we have 2 doctors now.
Dr. William Ruto and Dr. Oscar
Now
Sudi.
this doctor has never gone to has never attended even a...
Doesn't even know how to speak English.
I don't know. Then there is another character called Farouk.
Yeah, Farouk Kibet.
Yes.
The one that the rumors is that slapped Kindiki.
Those are the rumors we are hearing. Now, when you want to understand a leader, look at those people surrounding him. Look at the thinking of people like I've just mentioned, Kamket. People who don't even care that there is a constitution. They just go and they say anything because they want to please their master. Today as we speak, and this is a sad reality, I was even thinking about it this morning. When did you last hear a government minister addressing an issue?
I've never heard.
The only voice we want to hear is, even Moi was better. Today, ministers are not allowed to address anything.
Any issue, yeah.
So it is only the president who talks. The only voice, the only jogo. Hakuna jogo ingine.
But he is the president.
Of course, he's the president.
Yes,
But
sir.
then how do we know if things are happening when your own ministers are not? Look at even the opening of schools. Initially, we used to have the Minister of Education updating us on the dates.
On the dates,
Today,
yeah.
kids are supposed to have opened today.
They have, actually.
Did you hear it announced anywhere?
No.
Did you see the Minister of Education addressing anything? Even the grade 6 exams, we are still waiting for results with no update at all on when we will have this.
And the KCSE.
And the KCSE. So this tells you something that, and I want to say this with a lot of confidence. Most of the ministers in government today have said, okay, now let's sit and earn a salary. We don't have to do anything. This is what he wants. Yes. Let's report to the office, keep quiet. At the end of the month, we take our money.
Now,